Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power. Welcome to this episode of Your Ultimate Life, the podcast that we've got to help you create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Today, I'm excited to have Nimesh Nimesh. Say that for me again.
Nimesh.
Nimesh. Yeah. I wanted to get it exactly right because, I don't like having it messed up. As a beautiful and wonderful guest, and I've had the chance to visit with him before, and I'm excited to have him share his thoughts and wisdom. So welcome, Nimesh, to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited to have this conversation. Thank you for the space.
You betcha. So one of the things, I don't do introductions because who you are and what you do comes out in the show, and I like it that way. I love to just start with a question. What is Nimesh doing to add good to the world?
My mission, what I do is my deal with my guides and sources. I'm just going to keep showing up. So wherever I'm sent, wherever I feel like my light is needed, I'll keep showing up. I spent many years in the corporate world, but what I do now is really guide people to truly become themselves through mentoring, through Akashic Records, through just showing up, through my vibration. I love what I get to do, and I love to connect people to their true essence.
Why is that important? I mean, some people, we live in a world where showing up as your true self or authenticity or essence and all that stuff, those are regular pieces of language that get used, but in lots of places they're not. And that sounds a little woo-woo and, crazy and stuff like that. Why is it important for people to connect to their true essence? Why does that matter?
So when we come into our physical form, we come with karma that we need to release, and we go through all these things in life, and we have all this programming and these expectations, and sometimes we're not living our own purposeful life, right? We're living somebody else's expectations. And once you remove the layers of programming, you start to become your true essence. You start to understand you at a deeper level, who you are as a soul, what you're here to, what your light is, and what you're here to do. And because otherwise, sometimes we're living in what our parents expected us to do. Sometimes it's what our religion, sometimes it's what our society or career, which is all good. There's nothing wrong with that. But as you start to understand you at a much deeper level, you start to understand what your essence and everything you've been through. Maybe it's your training for whatever's coming next. Me, as an example, I spent 25 years in the corporate world, working in software, IT industry, and which is all great. But with my awakening, everything, I understand that actually my voice and my essence adds so much value, more value to lots of people, which is where I started the podcast and I started on my spiritual journey. So, some people are going to say this is woo and doesn't, and that's okay. But other people are going through some kind of shift inside and feeling something different and are open to starting to shift and starting to do something different. It's that feeling inside that I'm here to do something else. So many of us have been through this life trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And then we realize we're not meant to fit in, right? I mean, exactly. Your own story is like, it's like,
totally.
Do we all want to go through a painful awakening, or can we do this in a more ease and grace way?
I don't think, at least the way we've structured society right now, it isn't conducive to helping people find that essence. It's conditioning, it's programming, and without shaming or blaming parents, society, churches, business, whatever, they've got a sort of formula that they want us to follow. When a person starts to wake up, is a phrase that we use, I use it, you use it, and realize that this programming isn't what they really want to do anymore, without regard to what they should have been doing, because that's done.
Yeah.
They wake up and they say, I want to do something else. What does that waking up allow a person to do? Like you said, you had 25 years in corporate, and now you follow intuition and show up where your light is needed. So if someone's feeling some of that stirring right now, I really think I am meant to do something else, that kind of feeling. What does waking up, if I use that word, allow someone to do or begin to do when they respond to that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we make it sound like it's an overnight thing, right? I mean, for me, it's happened over a period of years, but it's that the feeling inside that you're meant to do more. There's a feeling inside that you're still in your world, but you don't fit in anymore, right? The friends that you maybe have, or the work that you do doesn't feel the same. The things that make you laugh don't. And that's what, for me, a rebirth looks like. And, following a rebirth is when you wake up. So it's that feeling of disconnect. It's when you get up and go, it's got up and left, right? And then you start to have weird experiences, weird, deeper conversations. And sometimes there is a deep awakening, right? It's sometimes you go through a lot of you experience a deep level of grief or a deep level of pain. Because sometimes that pain, that grief, takes you to a place where you do find a different essence within you. So you start to, that's what rebirth looks like. It's that pain is so deep that you start to feel different things around you. You just, like a death, for example, death of a loved one. Sometimes you see life differently. And it's like when you start to see life differently, from that comes a different way of being. And that's when you start to realize you're here for something else. And everybody's awakening. Everybody's kind of, when you wake up or whatever you want to call it, is different. But the consistency stems from knowing that you're here to do something different. And like I said, a lot of the time, a traumatic event will push you to look at things differently. And that leads you to going through a shift and maybe awakening and having more of that spiritual connection.
When you follow that, like, I love what you said to start with. You go where your light is needed and you help people make their own shift, or to accept or live into the possibility of shifting, and accepting the truth that the essence is meant to do something more and bigger. What is the most rewarding thing for you? Since I started with what you're doing to add good to the world, and you said, I'm just following that spirit and going and doing what I'm needed, or what's needed where I'm needed. What is the most rewarding thing for you about doing life that way instead of the other way, programming and the other stuff you used to do?
I mean, there's a couple of answers to that. I mean, with the mentorship work I do, it's just when you see somebody's eyes light up because they realize that the power they have in the scene. It's like when you've been doing things a certain way and you realize, well, actually, you have a choice. You can do something differently. And it's that awareness that you get in you that, well, the reason that I've been feeling stuck in this area is because of this programming. But you can get frustrated with it, or you can realize, wait, hold on, I have a choice to do something different. When people start to realize they have a light in them, a gift in them, like they start to use their voice and people hear them differently. So when you feel the impact, it's not, sometimes you feel like that. It's like a parent, when you see something in somebody's eyes and the light change in that moment. It's such a powerful. And the other thing with with my attitude to life is you have the most wildest, exciting, interesting conversations with people when you have that view. I mean, I went to an event the other day and I walked around. I'm like, I'm not sure why I've been sent to this event. And I was walking out and this lady stopped me she was with her husband. She's like, you don't know me, but you're Nimesh Radia, right? I'm like, sure. She's like, well, seen you on social media. I wasn't going to come to this event, but I knew I was meant to meet you. So that's why I came to this event. Oh, okay, cool. So she's like, all day yesterday, I was thinking about you. And so I gave her a hug, gave her a card and said, yeah, reach out. Let's have a conversation. And it's just beautiful conversation, beautiful light. Just when you're open to magic, magical things happen. When you have expectations, it's different, right?
It is. That's such a powerful truth. When you're open to magic, magic happens. Like, we create our lives. I know you agree with this.
100%.
And when you're open to magic, we live our lives so closed and resistant to the fact that there is more, and we don't want to see. We live with blinders or dark
It's
sunglasses
yeah.
on or something.
It's also a defense mechanism. If we expect magic and it doesn't come, we'll be disappointed. So why don't we stay in this box? And you
What
have
if the magic
disappointed.
not coming was the magic?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, right then,
Well,
like we live with this set of expectations. Like we got a playbook about how life ought to be, right? And in it, it's got all kinds of things. And when you look at the universe's playbook or God or whatever, it's way different because the goals are different,
yeah,
expansion, growth. And so maybe magic not coming was the magic for you.
yeah, 100%. I mean, but magic is everywhere. If you look, it's like you're walking in nature. You could sit there, you could be walking and be on the phone and, or be stuck in traffic or whatever. And it's like me meeting you, I was stuck in traffic. And I was like, but then I just stopped and looked around. It's like when you walk in nature, you're stopping and seeing a flower. It's just magic is there everywhere if you're looking for it. But if you sometimes we're expecting this big epiphany in the sky, the flash in the sky, and all of a sudden we're awakened, found our destiny. Oh my God! And it's like, well, what if your destiny is already in your heart? What if you just taking a moment, 2 minutes for yourself to go out in nature and be present is the magic you're looking for.
I have a question. We'll go back to the beginning when I asked you how you add good to the world. You listed several things, and one of the things you talked about was Akashic Records. Can you tell? I'm sure there are people who have no idea what that is. Can you describe that a little bit, what it is and what that
Sure.
means and what you do with that?
Sure. So Akashic records are more about a journey of your soul. So again, my belief, we've had many lives. So the Akashic records are a record of your past lives, your parallel lives, your future lives. Everything about your soul and the essence is stored in the records. And when you tap into your records, you get an insight into this life. Now, obviously, the human psyche can't take everything about what your soul's been through. So what you get with your records, and I channel them through your guides, is I always say they tell you what you need rather than what you want. So they give you an insight maybe into the karma that you carry into this life, the past life essence. I love to connect you, build a deeper connection with your guides through the records. For me, the records have opened up a deeper connection to my essence, a deeper connection to other realms, a deeper connection to my guides. And yeah, I mean, the records, I was guided to open the records by when my mentor, my friend, she left this realm. He's only 30 years old in a fire, and she became a spiritual guide. And she's the one that was very persistent with me to learn how to read the records. And they helped me to understand why I'm here. They helped me to understand my soul contract with her. They give you a deeper essence and a deeper guide into who you are. The reality is we're a soul having human experience. So it's not like your guides are going to let you bypass the human experience. If you're meant to go through something painful as part of your expansion, you're still going to go through it. But with the awareness the records gives you, it helps you to understand why your soul picked that. And with that understanding, it's a way of accelerating your journey. And yeah, they just give you a deeper insight into who you are at a much deeper level.
Is that like a service that you offer in terms of business? Or is that
Yeah.
like, how does that, like, let's see, I have never done that sort of thing. And you and I visited with that a little bit, not in your podcast, but before that, when we talked a little bit about it. And so if someone says to you, wow, that sounds really interesting, I would like to connect with my guides. I've always
Sure.
felt that there's presence around me or, some kind of thing, because we all feel those things. Uh, what would they do? Like, what does that look like?
So the way I read the records for others, and it is a service I offer, is I connect with your guides and I
Hmm.
channel a message because they have full access to your records. I channel a message. I'm in many ways a vessel for the message. I don't filter it. I don't change it. When I open the records for somebody, it's actually the time when I feel most connected to source. The human in me is not really there, so I will connect with your guides who it's a very protected environment because they love you unconditionally. And I channel a message for you through them. And the way I'll do it is I'll take you through a guided meditation before. The meditation is really about cleansing our energy, me connecting with your higher self. I'll then say a prayer to open the records. I'll channel a message for you. Then I'll give you a question and I'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions you have. So And the message, like I said, it's I have no two readings are the same. I mean, there's similarities. I always like to connect you with a couple of your guides and things like that, but it really is it's a journey for your soul. It gives you guidance on what you've been through in this journey, what you've been carrying. Normally, some past lives come up. Yeah, some ancestors. I feel like in this phase we're in right now, because the planet's going through such a shift, our guides are trying to communicate with us more. Also, our ancestors, our deeper ancestors, are coming through much more too. So it's a beautiful time to connect with your guides and feel the energy and the vibration around you, because I feel like we're being pushed and nudged so much more because the planet's going through a shift and we're going through a shift in parallel.
Let's talk about that shift right now. Thank you for that
I
explanation.
hope
And
that makes sense on the records, right? I mean, I
it
could talk
makes
about
sense completely. What it says to me, and I'll say it back and you can fix it, is that the lives, present, past, future, are written in records.
yeah,
Spiritual guides that all of us have access to those records. And you, going through some process, have learned to connect with guides and to give someone who's with you a message from those guides that come from the records
yeah,
in terms of assisting them or clarifying or explaining things that are with you or in you or that you're carrying or that you've been through or something like that. And it sounds like most of the time, at least, or maybe all the time, it is a tool, can be a powerful insight or a piece of help, wisdom, clarification that allows you to have a different perspective on something that either has happened or that you're going through, that kind of thing. That's what I
100%.
heard.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we all have access to our guides, and depending on how we access them, and there's very, but it's like when you give somebody permission to open your records, it's you're giving them permission to go deeper, because when you connect with your guides, your ego's still there, the human's still there, and it's just there's so much other. When you give a reader permission, you're giving them permission to go even deeper, to get a deeper message. And I always say that whoever I do a reading for, whoever I work with, it's a soul contract. So at some point, at a soul level, we contracted each other to have that deep experience. Anyone that allows me to open the records, for me, it's a blessing. I get to feel the love of your guides, the love that's around you, the deeper essence of your soul. And for me, that's a sacred process.
Thank you for saying that. And here's what I want to take hear from that, and also um, talk a little bit more about it. You know, the world, us, every one of us, we are spiritual beings having this human experience here. We were somewhere before, we're going to be somewhere after. And all of us were, and this I know from my own experience dying and coming back to life, like we are created intentionally from love, with love. And so your expression of that being the pervasive feeling and beauty of that love, and how you get to be sort of bathed in that love as you participate in
Yeah.
that experience with them. I can understand why that's so beautiful. All right, so thanks for sharing that. What you said something during that process about the planet's going through a shift, and so are we.
Yeah.
Could you talk more about that? What you're sensing, what you know, what you're experiencing that makes
Yeah.
that true?
So I really feel like what the planet's we're shifting from a divine masculine to a divine feminine. And what I mean by that is if you look at the last few centuries, and it's all been about the masculine. We all have masculine and feminine in us, right? So it's not about
Of
male
course.
like that, but it's about shifting from masculine. Masculine's all been about ego, putting people on a pedestal, wars, and it just feels like we're shifting more from that essence to more of a feminine, which is all about the heart. It's all about shifting from I think to I feel. You look at what's happening on the planet, you can see there's a lot of chaos. And I feel like over the next 12, 18 months, the planet's going to go through such a massive shift. And we have a choice. Do we focus on allowing the noise that's outside to consume us, whether it's wars, whether it's natural disasters, whatever else is going to happen? Or do we choose to focus on the shift that's happening inside? Because in parallel with the planet's going through a shift, so are we. And that's why I feel like in this lifetime, there's so many of us that have gone through some deep shifts. It's almost like preparing us for the shift that this planet's going through. And, a lot of spiritual leaders talk about moving from shift, third dimension to the fifth, or ascension, whatever human words you want to give it. I feel like it's an opportunity for us as a soul to shift to be more present, more heart led. I feel like that the area we're going into, community, is going to be so much more important rather than, we're a soul having human experience, but why do we always feel like we need to do it alone? The last maybe 6 months, the last few years, lots of conversations with people I've had, everyone's kind of felt lonely, like nobody really understands me. I've been going through something and I can't. Some of that we had to do on our own, but I feel like we're shifting into a phase where our hearts are opening up. We're connecting to more feminine and more communities. Or the other thing that's going to happen is the noise that's on the planet is going to consume us, and we're going to focus on things that maybe we can't change. And it's just you have everybody has a choice, and reality is the answer for each individual may be somewhere in the middle. Sometimes obviously you're gonna focus on the external noise, but if we can just be the example and guide people to focus on the inside. None of us are here to fix anybody, right? Nobody needs fixing. Everyone's exactly where they're meant to be. But if I can, with my words and my energy, my vibration, give people another choice, another way of being, then I'm doing what I'm here to do. I give them a choice. I don't force anyone to change, but if my words or my energy just allows people to maybe see things a little differently and start to focus on themselves, then I'm here. I'm doing what I'm here to do.
I want to talk a little bit about that awareness in us, because the external, demands its own attention, prestige, money,
Sure.
power, position, all that stuff. And what you're talking about, I love, which is, and I agree with. And I wonder what do you do with someone you're working with who's sensing some of these disturbances, but they don't feel like they know how to hear intuition, inspiration, to focus on that energy, that vibration that's part of the shift. How do you help someone who is or has been carrying a story or has had the habit of focusing only on the noise and the external? How do you help me if I come to you and say, wow, that all sounds cool, I want to focus on new stuff? How do you help me do that?
So, I mean, it's such a long answer to that, but I work on your four bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Your karma that you're carrying, the anything that's trapped could be in any one of those bodies. And really, when we're going on a healing journey, the first step is always awareness. Without awareness, without truly understanding your programming, kind of what you're carrying, and actually once you remove the layers, the awareness increases. So once you become aware, and the first way you start to become more aware is change your question. Because sometimes your story consumes me. I went through this. Guess what? I went through this, and it becomes like trauma dumping, right? It's like my trauma is so much deeper than yours. It's never about the trauma. It's about what did you learn from that trauma? How did you expand through it? And once you change your question and realize that the trauma you've been through and the pain you've been through is actually expanded you in some kind of way, then that awareness helps you to understand yourself at a deeper level. And then the next stage after awareness is acceptance. Accepting you in this moment, falling in love, because we're always so focused on the next version of ourselves. It's like, I'll be happy when this happens. I'll be happy, or once I've got through this phase, once I understand my pain. No, we're because the second thing I do is we're a soul having a human experience. So why do we want to bypass the human experience? Why do we want to wait and say, when this happens, then we'll be happy? No. The biggest thing we can do right now and guide people to is to be focused on this moment. Because that's where the magic is, right? If we're honest with ourselves, how much control do we have of the future? I mean, COVID, the lockdown is an example, right? I mean, who could have predicted that, right? And so the thing is, if we're honest with ourselves, we don't really have a lot of control over the future. Yes, we can manifest, and yes, we can plan and all the human stuff we've got to do. But if we can be present in this moment, present in this conversation, present in the love that we have inside and around us, then maybe the next moment becomes even more magical. So I really try and guide people to be present in this moment, because that's where the magic happens. You can't, unless you got a time machine, you can't change the past. And if you got a time machine, please let me know. But so you can't change. You can learn from the past,
Yeah.
and you can embrace the future. But if you love this moment, and look, if you're going through something painful, then you still got to know that this too shall pass, and the pain that you're going through is here to teach you something. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Sometimes we stay in a situation, we've already experienced the pain, but we stay in the situation, and that's when we suffer. So what the awareness and the focus on the moment allows you to do is to really integrate the pain and complete that phase, so you can actually then move on to whatever's next. And if that happens in the moment, it doesn't happen in the future, it doesn't happen in somebody else. It's like, how often do we struggle to, and this is the other thing I teach, is putting yourself first. How often do we give our power away, and it's like put everybody else first, and in the end we become tired, and we don't have an energy vibration. It's just, I guide people to understand that when you put yourself first, your light becomes so much brighter. You can help so many more people. And it's not selfish to put you first. Actually, it's selfish if you don't.
That's such a point of discussion, because people believe in being selfless or putting others first. They're somehow noble. And there's two problems with that. One is you drained, so your cup becomes empty, and you're serving from an empty cup, which simply means that you collapse and wither away energetically, spiritually, and even physically. The other thing that happens is, often when we're doing that, it builds up this resentment because we're not appreciated, or people don't understand or know how much we've done for them, and you hear all that language.
And it's our expectations, right?
Yeah, resentment's the opposite of what you're trying to do, because service is love. And so I just want to agree with you really loudly. Putting yourself first is not about self-indulgence. It's not about any of that. It's about caring for the physical and spiritual, emotional, and mental being that you are, so that your cup is overflowing. I had a friend that always said, you serve from the saucer, and so your cup's overflowing, and so you're serving from the saucer. And then that keeps you from getting into resentment, which is the
100%.
antithesis of love and service. So I couldn't agree more with the need to do that.
It's making a conscious choice. It's like when you put your prioritize you, it doesn't mean you don't go out your way for people, but it means when you do, actually you're doing it because it makes you feel good. It's lifting your essence, it's lifting your soul. If you're doing it out of a feeling that you have to do it, and just then that's the wrong energy, it's the wrong vibration. If you have an expectation that you going out your way for somebody, you want them to do the same, then that is not giving selflessly, right? I've done a lot of work with myself here. It's like, if I go out my way for people, it's easy to say I have no expectations. I do have expectations, but I don't expect them to do the same for me. There's a part of me that wants respect. That's that respect for what I've done, what I've did, but I don't expect the same. They're not the same as me. How they give is different to the way I give. So you and it doesn't have to give back to me. You give back to whoever you want. But it's that I go out my way for people because I love doing it. It makes me feel good. I'm doing it for me. I am selfishly going out my way for people because it makes me feel good.
I have a friend who starts every talk. I don't know every talk, but I've heard him speak many times. I've shared the stage with him, and he's made a lot of money, and he does a lot of things, supports a lot of causes, and he starts his talk with getting up and saying, I am selfish. And he'll dive into that selfishness and go all in and grinding on it, and then ties it around the corner to what you're saying, because he says, I feel so good when I do this and that. And so it's for me. And so he's emphasizing that point. He's funny.
That's so beautiful. And it's a beautiful way of doing it.
Yeah. And his talks are always funny and good. So I love that. So you've talked about the shift in the world and helping people create that awareness. So awareness in themselves, like you are a dual being, you have an energetic being, and you get to learn to develop that intuition and trust it. And the only way you can learn to do that is to create what you said earlier, some space for stillness, some space, because the spirit doesn't ever seem to scream. It whispers. And
Yeah.
we've got to hear that still small voice, or we're going to miss the boat. And learning to do that is
Mm.
such a blessing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't feel like we're going to miss anything, right? It's like I have a big belief whatever's for us is gonna find us, right? Whatever's not will miss
All
us.
right.
But
Well, we'll miss this boat and we'll have to take
yeah,
the next
yeah,
one then.
yeah, yeah, 100%. But the thing is, you know, this spiritual journey doesn't have to be complicated. I didn't say it was easy or hard, by the way. I said it doesn't need to be complicated. For me, finding that quiet, connecting to it with your guides, sometimes, oh my God, it's so complicated. It's not. You've got to meet the universe halfway. So what I always recommend is, the simple things, time in nature, time to be silent, time, some sort of physical activity, and just lots of people say, well, I can't meditate. Well, it's like going to the gym. You can't go to the gym once and get a six pack, right? You've got to do something consistently. So yes, if you try to meditate and your mind's busy, well, you've got to do something. I would say at least 21 days. And I always recommend start with 10 minutes silence. Start with just, or even 5 minutes. Everyone, some people say I haven't got 10 minutes, but just be with yourself. Think of it as you time. And if a thought comes through, let it come, let it go, let it come, let it go, and just be gentle with yourself. What you're doing is, it's not about becoming quiet. It is about, as you said, our intuition, our guides don't shout. Our ego shouts. Our ego has a lot of emotion. And the ego is not a bad thing. EGO, Earth Guide only, it's trying to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to change, because if you change, what if you fall? What if you get hurt? But sometimes you got to just talk to your ego. And the way, again, you do that is that silent time. It's about quieting the mind so you can listen to that soft voice that comes from your guides. And your intuition is normally the first thing that comes through. So again, if you want to start building your messages from your guides, ask the question and trust the quiet noise that comes through. Because when we have a question, what's the first thing we do right now? We go and ask Google. Oh no, the latest thing is with ChatGPT,
Right.
or whichever AI you use. And it's like, I'm not telling you not to do that, but why don't you just stop and slow down and ask how do you really feel about that? And then trust that whatever's coming through, because, and my words were, how do you feel? Not what do you think? Because thinking's coming from the ego, the brain. When you feel, it's coming from the heart. And just starting with simple, just that simple, how do I feel about this? Maybe that opens up something different. And you start to truly listen to yourself, because this shift that we're going through, it's not going to come from your history. So everything you've been through in this lifetime is in your head, it's in your ego, but this shift we're going through, I really feel like it's going to come from a different place, where it comes from your heart. Because everything we've been through has created this reality we're in right now, which we're just talking about needs to be broken down. So what if when you listen to your true essence and then you just try to listen to your heart, you receive new information about ways to be? And what if it's magical?
I love that, and I agree. And you've taken words that I have written. The first 5 books that I wrote were a 5-volume series on meditation, and people preach all kinds of different, stand on your head in a corner and cross your legs a certain way and do all this weird stuff. And I've said 3 things: slow down enough to be where you are, be still enough to notice what is there, trust what comes to you as truth, and that's
Yeah,
it.
that's
And
powerful.
whatever process that way is, and that's a developmental thing, and believing, knowing that you are conceived in
Yeah.
love, you're supported by love, the love of your guides, and it's all available to you. And it
Yeah.
is us tuning the antenna. It is us, turning up the volume.
And
Like
and
if
it is
this, yeah, it makes
it
the
is a
difference.
trust. There is a trust. It's a leap of faith.
It
It's like
is.
sometimes we want this proof. All right, you know what? And it's like sometimes we'll ask our guides and say, you know what? I mean, I love to wake up in the morning and say, you know what? Today I want you to show up and show off. Guides, you know what? I want you to show up and show off for me today. And it's like the showing off, maybe just seeing numbers, just 11, 11, 11, or whatever. And it's like the human mind will say, well, that's not really there. I need more proof. Why? Why can't you just trust in the magic? Maybe you're driving on the road and you see an eagle, or whatever you want, and it's just like a mind plays tricks on us, and it's just like, what if whatever you see, whatever you is the magic that you asked for? It's just why and sometimes why do we need proof? I mean, the three things. Sorry, I should have said the three things. So the 10-minute silence. The other thing I always love to recommend is mirror work, and the reason I would love to recommend mirror work is we spend so much time trying to make the physical body perfect, but how often do we spend trying to love ourselves from the inside? And what the mirror work does, it helps you to understand you from the inside. So look in the mirror. You can't look with both eyes, only one eye, and say whatever's in your heart. I always recommend saying, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I love you. But you could even start with just, I love you. And what that does, it allows you to start loving you from the inside. And by the way, sometimes it makes you feel uncomfortable because you see something inside you don't like. And that's okay too. Who cares? And the third thing is journaling. And a lot of people say, I don't journal, whatever. But whatever you're doing, there needs to be a way of releasing it. And journaling is just a beautiful way of taking the things that are inside you and releasing it. And by the way, if you don't want to write it down, record a voice note, whatever. But find a way of releasing the things that you're holding on to. And, just, and of course, being grateful and all the rest of the beautiful things we can do. But it's not. Start with one simple thing. Again, because the people don't start this journey because it just feels too daunting. My life is too busy. I haven't got time. Well, pick one thing out of everything we've said today. Pick one thing and do it for a little bit of time, maybe 21 days, and then come back and see what you want to do next.
I had a funny story that came to me. I love the mirror work too, and I teach people to do that. I told this one client some years ago to look in the mirror and tell himself, I love you. And he came back the next week and he said, man, I'd rather put my hand in a meat grinder because it was so difficult to do that. And, but the truth is you're honoring your creator. Your creator doesn't want you to hate yourself. They're not living in hate. Your guides, your God, they're not sitting there thinking, oh, you jerkwad, I'll love you when. You're already in love. And this is just an allowing of that to happen. And I love that you said that. And I just thought of what he said. He did. I'd rather put my hand in a meat grinder because it was so hard for him to do that.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's like it really is. I mean, all my clients, when we talk about it, it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty straightforward. And they come back and they'll resist. And it's like doing all these other things. I'm like, what about the mirror work? Yeah, kind of, And it's powerful. But the thing is that this is a vessel that our souls, so I feel like there's so many souls that want to have this human experience, and we're blessed to be here.
Absolutely.
During the planet's going through, we're blessed to be here. So and it's like, if you're on it, sometimes doing the exercise and looking after the physical body, of course that's important. But it's like sometimes the conversation we have in our head, what we truly think of ourselves on the inside, that's what's causing the disease. That's what's causing the pain. And really falling in love with you is such a powerful thing to do. And it's like, because when you love you, then you let go of this expectation of finding somebody that completes me. You let go of this expectation of, looking for love on the inside. And by the way, we make this, I make this sound sometimes so easy, with my words. I guess sometimes, I wouldn't say it's hard, but sometimes it's a journey. And, we've got all this programming that it's not even just our parents did. It's centuries and centuries of expectations of how we should be. We're trying to break the mold.
I was going to say, we spent decades learning one thing, and we're not going to undo it in 5 minutes.
No, 100%.
It's going to be a little work.
But you were selected as a soul to be here during this shift, which means you're important, you're needed, and your life's important. Because again, so often we think, well, he's talking to somebody else. Well, no, actually, if you're thinking that, we are exactly talking to you. And you're needed, you're wanted. Everybody is just as important as everybody else.
And the joy that, like when you started the episode and I asked you that, the energy and the way you spoke the words about what you do were full of truth, they were full of love, and discovering that for yourself, moving from a corporate thing to another thing that was now fulfilling, is what created that energy and that love and that invitation and that sort of juicy, feeling. And
Yeah.
I marinated in that because I feel the same way. People ask me how I am, and I always say something like I'm outrageous because I feel that way all the time. And I love
Yeah.
it. And it's and what he's just telling you is you can have that. So this is
Yeah.
not a couple of weird dudes talking about fun stuff you can't have. This is on your menu.
100%. And actually, if you listen to the conversation, you're meant to. This conversation is for you. You would. What if your guides led you to this conversation? What if this was their way of letting you know that there is a choice, but you have to take the step. Your guides want to help you. The universe wants to help you, but you have to meet them part way. I never said halfway, right? What if you're one step? They will take the rest of the journey, but you have to trust. You have to ask for help. Because the other thing we haven't spoke about as males, and not females too, but our ability to ask for help sometimes isn't there. It's like we have this ego. We need to do everything on our own. Oh my God. But this is the time where we should ask for help. And why not ask for help from our guides too?
That's
And the thing
fantastic. Go ahead. And the thing is what?
yeah, because sometimes we ask our guides for help, but we have an expectation they're not going to help. So our guides are going to listen to that and say, okay, we'll prove you right. You want help, but you don't really expect it. So if that's what you want, that's what we're going to give you. It is a leap of faith. And I get it, because it's like if you've asked for help before and you've not got it, you have this expectation that no one's here for me. I'm the only person that, and yeah, I mean, I get that feeling too, right? We've been let down so many times, but what if this is the time to ask for help? What if this is the time
Something
to
has
ask
to
for help?
change. If that
Yeah.
formula has been true in your life, okay, I'm not even going to argue that. But somebody's got to do something different. I mean, somebody said Einstein,
Yeah.
I think, can't solve a problem at the same level of thinking or
Yeah.
activity or whatever that caused it. So we got
Yeah.
to get in a different place. So I want to ask
Yeah.
you one question here that I didn't. We've talked a lot about many different things, but I want to ask you free open. Is there something that was on your heart that you think might be valuable to fit in here as we get toward the end?
Just to remind people that you're needed, you're wanted, you're powerful being. Your voice, I feel like so much right now we're not using our voice. We're not speaking our truth. And I don't mean speaking in anger. But I mean, what you have to say is, I mean, what you do kind of is so beautiful with the storytelling and getting people to write books. I feel like that's so important. And whether you use your voice to write a book, whether you use it on social media, whether you use it just, that's so important. And the second thing is create your circle. If you're around people that you have to fake who you are, you have to lower your vibration, you're around people that don't lift you up, then manifest a different set of friends. If ask yourself, this person, is my soul contract with this person complete? Have I learned as much as I can? Because this shift that we're going through, I feel, is also about making sure that we're in the right community. And I feel like for a lot of us, we need to shift that community. And, with that community, sometimes that includes our blood family. Our blood family we pick to expand us. We don't always pick to love us, but it's our expectation that, and what I mean by that is our parents, our siblings, and, our soul has picked our blood family to teach us something. But we have an expectation that we should get this love or what we feel it should be from a mother or father. Maybe we get that. I mean, I had beautiful, and I still have beautiful, amazing parents that are supporting me from the other side, but it's our expectations. And what if we let go of finding the love from the people around us right now, and we create a soul family, a group of people that truly holds us, allows us, pushes us, expands us, but it does it with love. And what if right now you just allow that love to come through from your guides at the beginning? What if you just closed your eyes multiple times a day and just felt the love that's around you?
That's fabulous. Nimesh, I thank you so much for sharing your heart, your wisdom, your equanimity, and the things that you have learned with us today. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. It's such a safe space to share. Thank you for creating that space and that energy. Really, really do feel blessed. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I love the time. It's 555. That's another sign from the universe, another sign from our guides.
There
In the
you
UK,
go.
it's 555. So thank you. I love what you do. I love your light. I love the conversation we've had. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. My dear listeners and friends, I want you to take this one. This is an episode you need to listen to a couple times. Go love yourself in the mirror. Allow the love that's around you to penetrate your heart. And I can promise you, as you do, you'll be able to move forward and create more of your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to kellanflukigermedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, yourultimatelife.ca. Subscribe, share.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet on